Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a book that pretty much turned the whole idea of work on its head for a ton of people, Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. We're going to break down the core philosophy and get into the big ideas that made this thing such a phenomenon. So the book kicks off with this really powerful question. It kind of stops you in your tracks, right? It makes you wonder what you're really chasing. Is it just a number in a bank account? Or is it something else? This one question is the key to, well, everything else in the book. And boom, this quote just nails it. The dream isn't about having $1 million. It's about the lifestyle, that feeling of total freedom you think the money will give you. The book's whole argument is that we've got it backward. We're confusing the tool, which is money, with the actual goal, which is freedom. Okay, so if freedom is the real goal, why does the normal plan, work, save, retire, feel so suffocating? Well, Ferriss says it's because most of us are stuck in what he calls the deferrer's trap. So what's a deferrer? It's basically anyone who's sacrificing their life now for some imagined future that might not even happen. You know the drill. Work insane hours for 40 years, pinch every penny, and then maybe you get to enjoy life after you're 65. The big problem here is you're gambling away the best years of your life for a payoff that's not even guaranteed. And you know what's so powerful is that this isn't just some abstract theory he came up with. Ferriss was living this nightmare. He'd built a successful business, was pulling in more cash every month than he used to make in a year, and he was absolutely miserable. He was working nonstop, even on vacation. That personal burnout is what lit the fire for this whole new way of thinking. This table just lays out the difference in thinking so perfectly. The old way is all about retiring early, saving up for one big payout at the very end. The new way, it's about sprinkling these mini retirements and adventures all throughout your life. It's a total shift from one far-off finish line to just collecting amazing experiences right now. So that brings us to the alternative. If the deferrer's plan is a trap, how do you get out? You start thinking like a totally different group of people that Ferriss calls the new rich. The new rich aren't defined by how much money they have, but by how they live. They completely reject that work now, live later deal. Instead, they figure out how to build incredible lifestyles right now. And the way they do it is by using a completely different kind of currency. And here it is. This is that new currency. For the new rich, real wealth is all about how many of these W's you control. What you do, when you do it, where you do it, and with whom you do it. Suddenly, time and mobility, being able to move around, become the most valuable things you can own. Ferriss calls this the freedom multiplier. The more of these you control, the richer you actually are. At the end of the day, this whole idea is powered by a really simple but kind of profound belief. That constant struggle, the 80-hour work weeks, putting all your dreams on hold, it's just not necessary. There's another way. And that belief is basically the permission slip you need to even start thinking differently. Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Well, the book lays out this super practical 4-step plan to completely re-engineer your life. It's called the DEL Blueprint. The acronym DEAL, it stands for Definition, Elimination, Automation, and Liberation. It's a process, a system. Each step builds on the one before it, and it's all designed to move you from where you are now towards that new rich lifestyle. It all kicks off with definition, which is really about rewiring your brain and changing your mindset. Then you move to elimination, where you just get ruthless and cut out all the stuff that wastes your time. Next up is automation, which is about building systems so your income runs on autopilot. And finally, liberation, getting that freedom to live and work from anywhere. It's all about giving back your time, your income, and your mobility. But here's a question a lot of people have. Does this stuff only work if you're like a young tech entrepreneur? The book's answer is a hard no, and it's got a bunch of real-world examples to back that up. I mean, look how different these people are. The book shows you an elite athlete, a family sailing around the globe, a student who's funding their passion project. They all used the same principles to get to wildly different goals, which just proves it's not some rigid formula. It's a mindset you can adapt to pretty much any situation. This quote right here might be the single most important thing to take away from the whole book. All those so-called rules about work and life, they're not set in stone. As Ferriss says, they're basically just illusions that we all agree to believe in. And once you see that, you get the power to challenge them, to bend them, and to create a reality that actually works for you. And that leads us to the last really powerful question the book wants you to ask yourself. Whenever you're thinking about making a big change, like asking to work remote, or starting a side project, or taking one of those many retirements, don't just think about how great it could be. Start by defining the downside. Really ask yourself, what's the absolute worst that could happen? A lot of the time, you'll find out the risk is way smaller and the reward way bigger than you ever thought.